We did it not by government mandate, but by simply saying we would pay you more if you finish quicker. A novel idea, long discarded by the government, revived for the California earthquake rebuilding effort. We finally adopted a bill to change the way the government buys $200 billion worth of goods and services with your tax money every year. And in so doing, by stripping away rules and regulations, we are saving $50 on every single federal government purchase under $2,500 a year. No more $500 hammers, no more $50 ashtrays. We have opened the markets to the kind of competitive pressures all of you observe. This year, even though we reduced defense and domestic discretionary spending for the first time in 25 years, we are investing more in Head Start, in more affordable loans for middle-class students, in national service to allow young people to earn money for their college education by serving their communities at the grassroots level, in apprenticeship programs for people who don't go to college but do want good training and good jobs for the future. And we are taking all the money that we are saving by reducing the federal bureaucracy by $272,000 and putting it into financing the crime bill, giving the money right back to grassroots communities to hire police officers, to institute the prevention and the punishment programs that I believe can lower crime and violence in this country if people at the community level will spend the money in the proper way. We took the money from the Washington bureaucracy and gave it to every community represented by every person in real estate in this entire hall. I think it was a good switch. It will make our country safer. We have also increased our investment in new technologies and defense conversions to help communities that have been hurt by base closings or by their big industries losing defense contracts. And we have dramatically expanded trade with NAFTA, with the GATT World Trade Agreement. As soon as the election is over, literally a couple of days after that, I have to go all the way to Indonesia for the second annual meeting of the leaders of the Asian Pacific Economic Group. It's a leadership organization that I really got to meet for the first time as leaders in Seattle last year. Why am I doing this? Not because I want to take another trip 2 days after the election, but because Asia is the fastest growing part of the world economy, and the United States needs to be in those markets. It's high-wage jobs for us. We have to continue to push that approach. Let me say that just this year, our exports to Mexico, since we adopted NAFTA, are up by 18 or 19%, 3 times the overall growth in our trade. Auto exports to Mexico are up 500%. I just came back from Michigan, where the biggest complaint is the amount of overtime the auto workers are having to work. That, folks, is a high-class problem. Now, this is the strategy of which you were a part when your organization supported our efforts last year. What I want you to know is it is working. Just yesterday, we learned that unemployment in the United States had dropped to 5.8%, a 4-year low, and that unemployment in California had dropped to a 3-year low at 7.7%. For those of you who aren't from here, let me tell you what happened to California. They not only went through the national recession, but California, with 12% of the population, had 21% of defense expenditures and suffered the impact of 40% of the base closings. So they're lagging a little behind the national recovery, but they are coming too. They had a substantial drop in unemployment last month. Now they're at a 3-year low. Overall, the economy of our country has produced more than 5 million new jobs in the last 21 months, 91% of them in the private sector. In this year, the best news may be that about half the new jobs are high-wage jobs, that more high-wage jobs have come into the American economy in 1994 than in the previous 5 years combined. That's good news for homeownership. It's good news for the American middle class. It may mean that after a very long period of time, we are turning around average wage levels by changing the job mix in America. I mentioned the auto industry to you. There are more people working in the auto industry now than in any year since 1979, even though they are much more productive, and it takes far fewer workers to produce a car than it did in 1979. For the first time since 1979, automakers in the United States have produced worldwide and sold more cars worldwide than their Japanese competitors for the first time in 15 years. And in the annual vote that occurs every year of international economists, for the first time in 9 years, the United States was voted the most productive economy in the world. We are moving in the right direction. I have to say, as has already been noted, that we have focused intensely on the real estate industry as a part of all this. Because you are 1/5 of our gross domestic product, because we need a healthy real estate sector. And in the economic program last year, when you asked for passive losses to be restored for real estate professionals, when you asked for FHA limits that moved with the markets, when you asked for mortgage revenue bonds to be extended permanently, when you asked for a secondary market for commercial real estate loans, you got those things in our economic program because they were good for the United States and for our economy. Housing starts are up 30% since January of '93, and after declining by 664,000 the previous 4 years, construction jobs have increased by 436,000 since those changes were made and since we have begun to move this economy forward in the last 21 months. And I thank you for your contribution to the economic progress of the United States.